Hello, everyone. We're so excited to have you all on here and to kick off our hashtag Analytics Week. Just wanted to make sure that our sound is all right here. If you could just shoot us a quick message that you can hear clearly, we will jump right into the presentation. Okay, it looks like sound is good. So we will get started. This is our second annual Analytics Week here at NetElixir, and specifically NetElixir University. This week of knowledge sharing information all around Google Analytics was really inspired by Albert Einstein, as you see on the slide here. It's part of the reason we're headquartered in Princeton and really inspires, our team, particularly Don and our CEO, Udain. So that's the real mission behind Analytics Week, is sharing knowledge and being creative and having some imagination around it. A little bit about NetElixir. We are a team of over 100 fanatically analytical search marketers. We are global. We have headquarters in 3 different countries. We're a preferred partner of both Google and Bing. And here you'll see some of the clients that we work with and help. Specifically, we are very, very focused on search marketing. And we have 3 different buckets of solutions. So that includes our services, which is paid search and shopping management, SEO or search engine optimization, and then paid social management. So within these services, we act as a true extension of your digital marketing team and help to craft strategies to really increase your traffic and acquire new buyers. Our middle segment here is our technology. So our team has developed our Elixir tools, and here you'll see 3 different versions, but they're paid, free, and some very low-cost tools that you and your team and small businesses around the globe can use in both their paid search campaigns and then also in their SEO. And then our third bucket of services is our consulting services. So we conduct full in-depth digital marketing strategy audits. We also craft executive dashboard designs, and then we have a very, very large focus on web analytics, which is what we'll jump into today and all this week. Our analytics packages have 3 different levels. At the beginner or the rookie level here, we'll have different tracking implementation and validations, setup consultations, and this is for customers that are really starting their campaign, starting on the ground level, but want to understand the analytics behind their website. Our middle package we call our insight packages. So these are health checks, ranging from just an essential basic health check to more advanced. We also have dashboard setup and then ongoing support. And our third level package here is very, very in-depth, fanatically analytical data junkie packages. So here we're getting very, very strategic. We're doing an in-depth analysis and really partnering with your team. So for Analytics Week, we have a different topic every day. All sessions, except for Thursday, will be from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and on Thursday will be from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. Today's topic will be covering 5 mistakes to avoid in Google Analytics. Tomorrow, on June 14th, we'll be sharing 3 analytics hacks to increase revenue and profits. On Wednesday, we'll be giving 5 insights to improve your mobile performance. And on Wednesday, we'll have a special guest speaker from Google, Steph Schmidt. On Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we'll cover tracking your best customers with Google Analytics. And here we'll have Powell from Google Global Product Lead, Data Integrations. And then to wrap it up, on Friday, we'll cover the benefits from AI and IBM's Watson's tool, and have Tomas from IBM join us on Friday. So right before I hand it over here to Dawn, wanted to just go through some basic housekeeping for the Analytics Week webinars. Please use our Google forum, hashtag Analytics Week. to ask questions and share information there. We're hoping to create a very strong analytics community there and really keep the conversation going all week. Any questions that you submit through the GoToMeeting today will be captured. Hopefully at the end of each session we'll be able to get to some of those questions, and if we can't, we'll make sure to respond through our blog and also in the forum. Please feel free to take any screenshots that you like, and we'll also be sending you the link and the recording of the webinar. We also are hoping to get #AnalyticsWeek trending, so please tweet what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're learning to make this really social. Again, join us the rest of this week. You can register online and you'll get reminders and be captured there. And again, we have our analytics@netelixir.com email address. You can direct questions here as well, and then also that tool will be used for a little fun thing we're going to do next, which is our thought experiment. So at the conclusion of each webinar, we'll be sharing a thought experiment or a little puzzle and be asking for answers to be emailed to us. There will be a prize every day. The first person to answer correctly will get a $25 gift card, and then anyone who answers all 5 of the questions correctly will receive a $100 gift card at the end of the week. And again, send answers to analytics@netelixir.com. Also, every day we'll be giving out a complimentary offer as part of Analytics Week. And today, our offer is a Google Analytics scorecard. This is something that we developed in-house at NetElixir. It's over a $500 value, which we usually offer as one of our services. And if you're interested in taking advantage of this offer and you're on the webinar today, you can again email us at analytics@netelixir.com and request your Google Analytics scorecard. So now we will jump into the meaty stuff here. I'd like to introduce our Director of Analytics, Don Rodriguez. He's been a Google Analytics user since 2007. He was a former e-commerce director and also teaches MBA classes at Rutgers.
Thank you, Caitlin. All right, so today's topic is 5 mistakes to avoid in Google Analytics. Before we jump into the topics, I have just a little stage setting to do for you. So at a recent Google event, this number was shared, and it was really kind of surprising to me. It's 6%, and what that number represents is the percentage of marketing decisions that are made using company data. So obviously, as an analytics geek like myself, that's kind of a disappointing number to see, right? Because we believe in fact-based decision making. But it's just another good reason to have a solid foundation in your digital analytics. And I'm guessing that most of our attendees today are in the e-commerce business, retail business. And another reason that having a good, solid foundation for your analytics is the fact that retailers spend a significant higher portion of their marketing budgets on digital than any other companies. And when you look at the numbers, it can be a little bit staggering. So last year, retailers in the U.S. spent $13 billion on digital media, which almost was 1 out of every $4. So one industry taking up almost 1/4 of the digital media consumption. And the 76% is the percentage that the $13 billion happens to be higher than industry number 2. So you think about that, almost double the number 2 industry. So again, pretty important to have your digital analytics house in order. And this cute little drawing that I've got here is it's intended to kind of give you a viewpoint of your business using the house analogy, because as I just mentioned, digital analytics is sort of a foundational element to your business, right? And you know that any house that's on a weak foundation is not going to survive, right? I found recently, doing some prep work for one of my classes at Rutgers, I saw a quote in a Harvard business publication that said that digital analytics is kind of like the heartbeat of your organization, and that really resonated with me because, again, it's one of those things that you have to have. If you don't have a solid foundation, your analytics house is going to sort of look like this, and it will end up, as many of the houses down the shore did, looking like this, right? So important to have a solid foundation. So we have a poll to start off today. Let's see if we can get this open. Is it showing? Okay. So how much time do you spend every week sifting through your web analytics data and gaining actionable insights? So I'll give you guys a few seconds. Your choices are more than 5 hours, 2 to 5 hours, less than 2 hours, or you don't use it. I'm glad to see very few of you don't use it. All right. A couple more seconds. Okay. All right, I'm going to close. All right, and share with you the results. Reviewed, okay. So we've got, good. This is actually encouraging me because we have, what, 65% of the audience that is in analytics every week. So I'll be honest with you. I think when I was running the e-commerce business at Utrecht, there might be weeks where I didn't touch my analytics, you know, all things being transparent here. So that's actually very encouraging, right? And we do have some analytics geeks in the audience. About 1 out of 5 of you are in there more than 5 hours a week. So excellent. All right. So let's dive into our mistakes. So the first mistake, if any of you are repeat Analytics Week's attendees, you saw this slide last year probably. It's I mentioned last year that I am a Peter Drucker fan. I open up almost every one of my classes at Rutgers with a Peter Drucker quote. So, but this is one of my favorites, right? You know, it's very simple and very, very straightforward. You can't manage what you can't measure. And the mistake that we see retailers making and continue to making is not tagging all of the inbound traffic that you have that has a marketing spend associated with it, right? So what I'm talking about here is you are actually spending either money or time or people resources on some initiative that's going to influence traffic on your website and not having that traffic tagged properly for your analytics. And I'm going to give you a client lesson learned here that we had. So we had a client, vertically integrated retailer of health-oriented food products. And the service they had bought from us was a monthly KPI package. And as part of that package, the first thing we do is a Google Analytics health check, right? Basically go in and kind of look at their account setup and everything. And during that process, we discovered that that client, for example, did not know how to tag his links inside of his email marketing campaigns for tracking purposes, right? So we actually sat on a call and had him open up his email service provider, and we figured out how he could actually get those tags implemented. And here's what happened, right? So month 1 is that first month when we did the health check, and there was absolutely no tracking of email in his Google Analytics, right? The second month, we were really pleasantly surprised when we went to have our second call with them, and we had pulled our monthly reports and saw that he had implemented tracking, right? So we were kind of excited just about that. And then started looking at the numbers and really got excited because you can see here the dollars per email session in that first month was 16. If you looked at all his other marketing channels combined, the dollars per session was 5. So it was almost a 3x factor, right? His email audience was almost 3 times more valuable per user than any of his other marketing channels. He had absolutely no idea about that because he hadn't tracked it before, right? And so then I looked at a few months later. So this is the run rate after the 6 months. So this is about 4 months after we had that first call and showed him this, right? And you can see that he had increased his contribution from each email session by 8%. He had increased his overall revenue contribution from email by 15%. And I'd like to point these two factors out here, which is this has happened during a time period where seasonality tended to soften his business. So you can see all other channels, the dollars per session had dropped 11%, and the revenue contribution had dropped by 6%, right? So the fact that he was growing his email marketing business during that slow time period all dates back to the fact that we showed him how to track it, right? And made him aware that that was an extremely valuable segment for him. So how do you track inbound traffic? Well, in Google Analytics, there are 5 query parameters that you use in your URL. They are listed right here. So they are source, medium, campaign, campaign term, and campaign content, right? Source and medium are really the only like, if you want to say required ones, although just about everyone who does go about tagging their links will use source, medium, and most likely campaign. Term and content are useful for things like if you are bidding on keywords and certain for example, search engines or display networks, and then campaign content is very useful for tracking things like, you know, the creative type you might have used, or we used it when I was tracking email, our email marketing content we used to actually contain something about the offer that we had in the email, and we used campaign as the date. So this URL, excuse me, I'm talking with my mouse again. This URL builder is out there. It makes it very easy for you to build a URL for an inbound link that you're going to use. So you just basically fill it out with, you know, obviously your website name, what value you want in source, medium, term, campaign, and then you hit this little button down here for generate URL, and it outputs something that looks like this. And you can see here I've got eMarketer as my source. I'm calling it, the medium is email. Think of medium as like the channel, right? Your marketing channel. That is the best analogy I can think of for medium. So email, paid search, display, those are values you'll see in you want to see in medium. And then term, we have Google Analytics, content to banner, and our campaign is our analytics week outbound. That's how you construct a URL for tracking Google Analytics. I had a cartoon earlier with the devil in it, and the reason for that is because attention to detail is critical to make sure that you have high data quality. So this little graph here is from a study we did a year ago in which we looked at roughly $60 million in transactions. This was our multi-channel attribution study. And what this is showing you is that there was approximately a little more than 10% of that revenue that had some sort of mistake in the tagging. In other words, it wasn't attributed correctly because of a mistake in execution of the tagging. So for example, typos is probably the most common reason to have a mistake in tagging, right? And what happens is you can have a typo in your parameter, and Google Analytics will basically misparsing that parameter. So for, like in this example, you can see here there is a typo in the medium part of the URL string, and therefore over here, which is where you would usually see medium of email, is set to not set because Google didn't see it because of the typo in the parameter here, right? And essentially that revenue in that session sort of disappears out of your email channel because of that typographical mistake. Another thing some people don't understand, and particularly those of you who are new to Google Analytics, is that Google Analytics is case sensitive, which is the easiest way to mess up your tracking. Excuse me, I'm just drinking a little water. So this is a view of the default channel grouping. So in Google Analytics, Google has defined a default set of channels. So if you go to your acquisition channels report, this is what you see. And this one right here, I can get my mouse over to my screen again, right here, is I call it the dreaded other category, because if you have data in that category, that tells you that you have a potential tracking issue with your tagging of your traffic. So in this example, I'm showing you that that capital E in the word email and this capitalized CPC down here in item number 6 basically mean that the traffic, those sessions for those 2 line items ends up in this channel instead of, for example, email being down here and the Google CPC being in paid search. Just by having your cap lock key on, for example, when you're entering a query parameter, right? So it's case sensitive. It's probably the most frequent example we see of mistracked data, right? Is just, you know, a little title case thing happens or whatever, but so takeaways from mistake number 1 about not tracking, right? So tag every inbound link you have control or influence over. For example, when you are doing link building for your SEO efforts, right, you can sometimes ask the other party to use your link with your UTM parameters associated with it. For example, when I work for Utrecht, very common for a retailer, right, to have links onto their site from all of the suppliers and manufacturers they do business with. So one of my first SEO efforts was to ensure that we had a link coming from every one of our major suppliers. Provided a link with UTM parameters so I could actually track that traffic coming back. Here's an example I found just in my inbox. Someone had shared something, and you can see that the TechCrunch, they had added to that link to TechCrunch, they had added tracking so they could figure out where it was coming from. All right, we're going to move on to number 2. I have another poll for you. Come on, mouse. Give me a second. That's right. Okay, so if you had the luxury of adding a person to your team today, I couldn't fit the words in there at no expense, so let's assume it's at no expense. Could you find something for he or she to do that would make your company money? Your choices are yes, no thank you, I have staff sitting on my hands right now, no thank you, I'm adequately resourced, maybe, what school do they go to, maybe, what skills do he or she have? Okay, I think we have, judging by the rate of voting, I think we have more engaged people on this question. Very interesting, right? We also have some analytical people, right? You think about it. Okay, we're almost there. All right, I think I'm going to close it. Let's see. So we call it a horse race? Yeah, all right. Very interesting, right? As I created that question, I thought I would get hands down people saying, yes, how soon can they be here? Because I've yet to talk to anyone in this space, digital marketing, e-commerce space, that says they have a shortage of things to do, right? When the reality is there's plenty of things to do. The art is in choosing the things you want to focus on that have the most impact. So, but you can see that we have a slightly analytical audience on the line because it's pretty evenly distributed between yes, how soon can they be here, and maybe what skills do they have, right? So someone's thinking about will they add value to their business by asking about skills. So, all right, so that leads me to the second mistake that we see. That's utilizing IT resources, they could be in-house or external, that are not e-commerce savvy to help you run your e-commerce business, right? So share a number with you, 38%, right? This number, 38%, more than 1 out of 3, is the number of clients, new clients we've acquired in the last year that had some sort of analytics related issue, right, that was caused by an IT resource who wasn't what I would call e-commerce savvy. So these issues could be mundane things like having double page view tags on a page on a site, which would cause, for example, your bounce rate to become deflated artificially, right, to not having e-commerce tracking in place, or having e-commerce tracking in place that wasn't configured correctly. We ran into a developer who has the word e-commerce in their company name that asked us where to put the e-commerce transaction tag on their client's website. I mean, that's an extreme case, right? So some of you might be saying to yourself, so what, right? Which is my favorite question when you're talking about analytics. So what? So what's the big deal about not having e-commerce savvy tech resources, either in-house or outsourced? Well, it's that one of our favorite economic concepts, the opportunity cost, right? Again, the reason I asked you that question about the added the resource, right, is because I've yet to meet anybody in this space that, you know, has a shortage of things to focus on. So if you have time and energy and money, because in many of our clients' case, anytime it has something to do with their website, it's an outside developer that bills by the hour, right? You've got time, energy, and money being spent on something that is foundational, as analytics is, for example. That means it's taking away from things that could be adding a lot of strategic value to you, right? So it's an opportunity cost situation, right? And this chart here I found in a recent trade magazine. It was a study of analytics amongst consumer good manufacturers and retailers. And they asked the question of the retailers, what are the challenges to having more strategic use of your analytics? And you could see there the fourth item down was inadequate resources to interpret the output of analytics tools, right? Resource constraint. So again, if you've got things taking away your resources that are, you know, as I refer to them, foundational elements, right? Again, you're losing an opportunity to have strategic value created, right? So this is a example that I am very acutely aware of, as the specialty retailer was one I was employed by, and we had migrated from a custom-coded website to a off-the-shelf, you can't see me doing it, but I'm doing air quotes around off-the-shelf e-commerce platform. That little image you see here on the right, probably hard for you to read, but everywhere you see yellow was an issue with our search engine optimization that required a mod to that quote-unquote off-the-shelf e-commerce platform. Any of you who have lived through a platform migration, particularly one where your URLs were 100% changed from point A to point B, probably have felt the pain of 3-to-1 redirects. And in this case, it was these deficiencies and some missed execution on our 3-to-1 redirects that cost us quite a bit of our organic equity and our organic traffic. So here is a view of a 3-month period of organic year over year. And this is the total. I'm doing it again, talking on with my mouse and not showing you. Right here, that's the total. It was 24% drop. And during this time period, just so you know, the platform migration happened in January of this year. And during this time period, this February to May time period, we had 8 different mitigation initiatives to help with our organic traffic issue. And yet we were still down 24% year over year. And because this was a site redesign, we actually had increased our conversion rate and increased our average order values, so that 24% decline in organic traffic actually equated to a 1/3 revenue loss, which at that point in time in terms of organic traffic share of our total business, that was more than 10% hit on the top line because of this bumpy transition to an off-the-shelf platform. So just an example of where dollars can get spent very easily if your IT resources aren't necessarily e-commerce savvy. So, excuse me, takeaways here, very simple. Choose and vet your development personnel or partners wisely, and get independent expert help on auditing your implementations, or get independent expert help when you're considering a change, right? For example, we here at NetElixir, we do audits for analytics, paid search, and SEO as, one-time engagements. So, number 3, running your e-commerce site without revenue tracking working correctly is much like this episode of Mythbusters, trying to drive blind, right? So if you think about it, if you don't have e-commerce revenue data in your analytics for an e-commerce business, and you're trying to make an intelligent decision on what to do with your marketing for that business, it's pretty much the same odds as throwing darts with a blindfold on, right? So, for example, how can you possibly make a smart marketing decision if your reports look like this, where, for example, there's no revenue, right, in these e-commerce reports? So the way I always like to explain this is saying, in a situation like this is, if I gave you a check for $5,000 and I told you you have to spend that $5,000 on demand generation, but you get to keep every dollar above the first $5,000, which are going to be coming back to me to pay back my little loan, right? How would you possibly know where to go spend that $5,000 if your data looks like this? And I put this chart from earlier in the deck up here again, right? Because you can see that these are the numbers of digital marketing channels that retailers spend money in, right? Without the data, there's absolutely no way you would know where to go put that focus, right? So in tracking e-commerce sites in Google Analytics, there are 2 tags that you deploy. You deploy a session data, or commonly referred to as the page view tracking, which is a tag that's loaded on every page on your site. And then the second tag is the transaction tag, or the order tracking tag, which is typically only loaded when the order has been submitted, usually put on what I call the thank you page or the order confirmation page. I would tell you that, the 38% that I alluded to earlier, I'd say the majority of the issues they had in analytics had something to do with the transaction tag. Right, so I want to give you just a quick view of how that tag works in Google Analytics. So essentially what happens is, when someone submits their order to you, your server processes that transaction and then has to format the data for analytics and populate that data in the receipt page that gets pushed out to the browser. And from that receipt page, the analytics JavaScript grabs that data and pushes it into GA. And then, I'm doing it again. So that's right through here. Over here, it's a little bit hard to read, but I just want to give you some idea of what the tag entails, right? So there are 2 pieces of information in a transaction tag for Google Analytics. There's the transaction level data, right? So order total, shipping, tax, right? Things that happen that are tied to the transaction. And then there's the item level detail, right? So you actually, in theory, can have Google Analytics just track transactions and not pass the item level detail. We've seen that work, right? But ideally, you want to pass the transaction level and the item level detail. Okay, so takeaways. Make sure your e-commerce tracking is set up and verified. And here's an important point. Verification can mean a simple thing as you go place a test order and you make sure the test order shows up in Google Analytics, right? So it's important to kind of look at a big picture view of your e-commerce tracking. So what I always recommend people do is take a time period where you're going to have a substantial number of e-commerce transactions and balance what Google Analytics has versus what your back end would tell you was captured online. Because really, you should be capturing 90% or more of your transactions in Google Analytics. And we have clients that are capturing 100% of their transactions online into Google Analytics, right? But it should be well north of 90% to feel confident in your analytics implementation. Moving on to number 4. Number 4 is about what I call self-referrals. So this is the improper tracking of cross-domain sites. So this is companies that have multiple websites that might point traffic at each other. Subdomains, which are things like maybe like shop.domain name or store.domain name. And then third-party checkouts, with PayPal being obviously the most popular one that we see. So here's a screen snip from a client that had basically a mess when it came to self-referrals. They had their regular domain name showing up as a referral source, which is a no-no. They had PayPal, and then they had a store subdomain showing up. And because of the mix-up in their tracking between these two, that's why we had back and forth sessions going on between the main domain and the subdomain, right? But I'm going to focus a little bit here on PayPal, because that is definitely probably the most common source of self-referral that we see, right? So you can see here in this particular case that PayPal was 6% of this client's traffic, yet was attributed to 51% of the revenue, right? So if you think about that, more than half of the revenue in this time period was mistakenly attributed to PayPal, right? So you basically lost visibility to that, for example, the last click interaction that drove that conversion. So here are ways to mitigate these self-referral topics. So first, subdomain tracking. There are 2 versions of Google Analytics. I imagine many of you on the call are aware of that. The Universal Analytics, which is the newest version, basically takes care of subdomain tracking automatically. Cross-domain tracking, so this is, when I say cross-domain, I mean going from abc.com to xyz.com, and you've got links driving across from one to the other, but you want to track, you want to track both ABC and XYZ in the same Google Analytics reporting. That does require you to customize your page view tags, and another useful thing is to add a filter in your Google Analytics setup so that you can see the abc.com and the xyz.com in front of the page names in your content reports. That's an easy way for you to segment the traffic from the two. We're having audio issues. Okay. I'm going to pause. Can you raise your hand just on the question chat? Can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Cutting out intermittently. What if I get closer? All right. I see a comment that we're losing audio intermittently, so I'm going to get a little closer to the microphone. So, all right. So PayPal referrals. I'll show you this in the next slide. So you add PayPal as a referral exclusion. This applies to Universal Analytics users only. And then you can use your multi-channel funnel reports for looking at historical PayPal referrals that to identify really what the true marketing channel source was. And then in PayPal, there's a feature to enable that forces users back to your order confirmation page. And I just need to move this, Sean. Where did my mouse go? That? Okay. Okay, here's how you set a referral exclusion. It's set at the property level underneath tracking information. And very simply, you click on that red button that says Add Referral Exclusion, and you enter in the domain name of the site that you want to have excluded. So essentially what happens with a referral exclusion is Google Analytics says, oh, this PayPal.com is on this list, so I'm going to leave this user's source and medium values the same as they were when they went over to PayPal and came back. Right? So it basically tells Google Analytics, don't override those source and medium values. And one way you can find those source and medium values for your historical PayPal referral conversions is in the multi-channel funnel reports, the top conversion path report. You can add campaign as a second dimension to that report, and when you do that, you get something that looks like this. Right, so you've got the source medium path over here, and I have campaign path here. So, for example, down here, number 8 is there was a session from their email marketing, and then they converted using PayPal. And here's the campaign name. So you get, by adding campaign name, you kind of have an idea what specific marketing action drove that PayPal referral. Right. Likewise, number 9 is a similar story. Okay, so that's how you can find the historical PayPal. So takeaways from self-referrals, as I call them, right? First and foremost, if you're not using Universal Analytics, you should upgrade to Universal Analytics. As I said, it automatically does subdomain tracking. You can do referral exclusions like the PayPal, and there are a number of other capabilities that are inherent to Universal Analytics that can add value to your business. And last but not least, Universal Analytics is the current version. That's where all new development around Google Analytics is based upon, right? So, and then look at your referral reports and look at the share of revenue that referrals are generating, right? So if your referral report has, let's say, greater than 10% of your revenue, most likely you have an opportunity to go into that referral report and identify traffic coming from somewhere that you can measure or track more specifically. And then also take the steps that we are articulated here to eliminate those third-party payment referrals. All right, stretch run. Looks like we're doing decent on time too. Last but not least, not using everything that is in Google Analytics is a lot like Mr. Brando and On the Waterfront, right? It's a story of untapped potential. So customization is one of the great features in Google Analytics, and I've identified 3 here on this slide. Today I'm going to talk to you about advanced segments, and then demographics and user ID are going to be touched upon. Demographics we touch upon Wednesday with Steph Schmidt, and then all of Thursday's session is focused on the user ID capability, which allows you to track your individual customers in your analytics data. And I'm super excited about that. I think that's one of the most underutilized features of Universal Analytics that I've seen, and it can be extremely powerful for any company that is either B2B or depends on repeat purchase. So if you're selling consumable items and you want people to come back to you often, right, user ID is something you should think about deploying. So I'm going to talk to you about advanced segments. Now, if you've heard me talk before, you may have heard me talk about how I think this is probably the most powerful feature in Google Analytics in a free tool like Google Analytics. Now, Google gives you a pretty robust set of standard advanced segments that they've defined already, right? And that's what this is showing you here, right? So these are all different types of segments within your data that you can look at out of the box in Google Analytics. But what I think is the most powerful part is the customization element, the ability to create your own segments, right? And frankly speaking, this puts some enterprise class analytics packages to shame, right? And the fact that you can't do this kind of customization of your audience. So I've got a graphic here. This is taken from our client Jeffers Pet, and this is showing you one of the advanced segments that I built for them. And this is how I did it, right? So this segment, sorry, the screen froze. You there? You have this one? Okay, I'm waiting. Not coming up. Should I hit page up, page down? Down and up. Page up, page down. How about this? Good? Okay, there it is. Okay, sorry. So this advanced segment, which happens to be a little bit more than 1/3, is all the users that got to a product detail page, right, a SKU level page, but we're not shopping for, it's Jeffers Pet Supply. They sell supplies for pets, livestock, and horses. But we're not looking at a animal specific product, right? So you can see right here where it says exclude, so I'm excluding an expression to get rid of all the animal pages, and I'm including all product detail pages. Now where can you make money using advanced segments? Well, the way you can make money using advanced segments is building remarketing audiences in Google Analytics. The remarketing audience engine in Google Analytics is essentially the same engine as the advanced segment capability. And for those of you who might not be familiar with this capability, one of the ways that remarketing audience are different in Google Analytics than, say, for example, in AdWords, is in AdWords you build a remarketing audience based on pages. So did the person reach this page on my site? So it's a pretty singular dimension type of remarketing audience. In Google Analytics, you have this advanced segment capability where you can build audiences around behaviors, around things like demographics. So it's a much more powerful segmentation tool that you can build based on your analytics data, right? So I'm going to give you an example from one of our clients. We have a client in the home furnishing space. I'm going to wait. It looks like we have a little bit of delay on our transition. Okay, let's see. Like that. No. Click back and forward maybe. Back. We're just trying to see we get the slides to update. No? Which is that one? Okay. Trying to see if we can get the sharing to work again. Anybody? What are they saying? Can any of you see a slide that says Client Lesson Learned? It's a title. I'll tell you what, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to read it to you. So, okay, so the situation is we had a home furnishings retailer. One of the things they did was they would send people free sample swatch, right? Now, what helped us in this situation was the fact that their free samples had SKU numbers and were ordered in the shopping cart. So the client asked us if there was a way that we can identify all of his sample buyers in Google Analytics, because initially they wanted to understand the acquisition channels that drive these sample buyers, because they knew that sample buyers converted at a higher rate into eventual buyers. So we built an advanced segment in Google Analytics to identify all the orders that had just a sample on them. And that was so successful that the client eventually went and added tagging on their website so that they could identify all orders that had samples. So for example, in our first advanced segment, we could not track someone who had bought a product and added a sample to that order, right? So that's what the tagging enabled for them. So once they had that set up, it was very logical to take the sample buyer segment and apply it as a remarketing audience. Now, I don't know if this is, did it update? Okay. So hopefully this is going to update and you're going to see a chart with the results. No? What's going on? All right, I'm going to speak to the results. So it seems like we have an issue here with the slides updating on the broadcast. Here it comes. Oh, it's very slow for some reason. Okay, so I'm comparing sample buyers against two other audiences they had, repeat visitor and non-converters, which are sort of not run-of-the-mill, but you could say best practice type audiences that you might use in remarketing. So, and I'm giving you statistics on the cost per conversion and the number of clicks per conversion. And you could see here on the left that the sample segment was by far the most effective and efficient remarketing audience with the lowest cost per order and the fewest number of clicks per order that they were getting. All right, so that's an example of how you can use the advanced segment capability and turn it into dollars and with Google Analytics. All right, and I'm going to wrap up my portion here with these last set of takeaways. And I hope that one of the things you can take away from this is that web analytics is not a set it and forget it type thing. Just like in brick and mortar retail stores where you have to do a little maintenance and occasionally have to upgrade your fixtures, right? Your web analytics needs to be maintained and upgraded occasionally, right? The second thing is that hopefully you see that the return on investment you get from analytics is directly proportional to the amount of human capital that you apply to it, right? It's the extraction of information and turning that into knowledge, which is in someone's head, right, is where you're going to end up finding insights that can help you grow your business or increase your profitability. And hopefully with these examples, you've seen that GA can really be a very valuable asset when it's deployed and leveraged correctly. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our first Analytics Week webinar. We're going to close by sharing our thought experiment for today. So over here on the left, you'll see the grid looking for what should be where those two question marks are. And again, you can send this to analytics@netelixir.com. The first correct answer will win a $25 gift card. And again, if you send in all answers correctly for each day, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card. Lastly, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are, for anyone who was on the webinar today, we'll be giving away a complimentary 10-point Google Analytics health check. This is one of our analytics packages that we offer, and it is valued at $500. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that offering, again, just email us at analytics@netelixir.com. Finally, if we have a minute or two here, we're just going to check our Q&A forum and see if we have time for one or two in the last 5 minutes.
One thing we should note, for those of you where we had the sound cutting in and out, the recording, which hopefully the recording went well, the recording will be available on our website in a day or so. So And you can feel free, if there was a section where the sound cut out and you had a question, please just send it to analytics@netelixir.com and I will answer that for you. I'm just looking to see. I don't think we have any.
So we'll follow up, and if we did get any questions that we missed at the beginning, those will be in our forum. And we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern again for our second day of Analytics Week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.